Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I have another fun project using some dies from Spellbinders. This is part of the new release from January. I'm just getting this one finished up for last month, and this one is going to be a couple of fun flowers. The reason I said yes to this one is I could not resist the whole idea of Bird of Paradise. So I'm going to be making a card or something using this, and it's going to create a three-dimensional Bird of Paradise. And then we've also got some little pansies, and if you look at these, it's not a ton of dies. The pansy die is 3 dies, does create 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, but each of the dies tells you how many you need to cut out for each flower you're wanting to do. For instance, this one says ×2, so you'll want to cut this one out twice. Same kind of thing on all of the Susan Tierney collection dies. This piece you do 1 of, this one 3, this one 2 to 3, and then we've got 2 and 1. So you do need to cut multiples of each of these out, but this is going to be super fun. And I live in Florida, so we do have birds of paradise. There are white and there are orange, and we actually have both of those growing in our yard. The white bird of paradise are huge plants, and the flowers basically wind up getting hidden by the lower branches because it blooms down low near the base. The red bird of paradise or orange bird of paradise pops out of the top, so we do see a lot of those, and those are out in my front yard, and I love it when those guys bloom. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started doing some die cutting so we can start putting these flowers together. So next I'm going to start coloring these up. Now I am following the instructions from Susan Tierney to see exactly how all of these are going to go. So I will leave a link to her video down below that shows you all of the cutting, all of the coloring, all of the things. I'm following her instructions because this is a new die set to me. I have not done this one before, and although I've done some with these real fun three-dimensional flowers, I want to make sure I get the colors and everything right. You can absolutely do these in any which way that you want to. I've even done some of my dimensional flowers with patterned papers instead of coloring to give it a different type of a look. This time I'm going to try to make it close to what I see in my yard when these go into bloom.
Like your smile in the morning, following the linings on your cheeks. 'Cause baby, in your absence life is boring, so I'll never leave. It's easier to love when it's you by my side, shining through the cracks like the first morning light, feeling like a child through the days and the nights, living in your arms as the years go by. It's easier to love.
So I'm going to go ahead and shape these first two. Again, I'm following the instructions from Susan Tierney, and I don't have the same tools as her. They are available at Spellbinders, but I haven't really done a lot of the shaped flowers, so I'm not really doing it yet. But what she says to do is to basically do this on the back side of this little piece here. It's kind of curling the edge. It kind of makes it look more realistic. Okay, so we've got that part, and again, it's where you do it on the back. And then this one, again, it's on the back, and it's on this bottom section that is green. So the way that she said to do it is basically from this end down, and you're basically breaking down the paper fibers. So I'm thinking that is starting to look pretty cool. And then with this piece, since we've now broken down the fibers some in the ends, we can go ahead and shape that better. And normally I would use my regular tweezers, but I can't find them. Instead, I'm just going to use this pair of reverse tweezers, basically holding it there and then curling these around. It would be much easier with my straight tweezers. I may just have to get me another pair since I have not been able to find the others, and it's been, I don't know, about what, 2 weeks I think since the last time I was able to find those tweezers. Okay, so I'm doing that with both pieces, and then what you do, or the reason for all of this shaping and stuff, so this is actually going to go about like, this is kind of where that's going to be. When I'm just looking at the color and the arrangement here, it now looks more like the beginnings of a bird of paradise.
Nothing like your smile in the morning, following the linings on your cheeks. 'Cause baby, in your absence, life is boring, so I'll never leave.
So next we're going to work with these guys that we just finished coloring up. And as with all of them, you turn them at pretty side, or yeah, the curves of the dies should be going down around the side. So that's the front, so you want to turn them around to the back. So we're going to be breaking down the fibers on the back. And you want to start at the top and work your way down. If you start on this end, it's very possible, and I have done it before on a different flower, you could break the pieces apart because it does get really, really narrow down there. So you'll start at the top here and start just breaking it down and shaping these. And you can see that they start to curl up, looking like what regular petals are going to look like. Okay, you do that on all three of these. And then we're going to do this on all three of our bits here. So we're going to have a pretty full little bloom here. Okay, and then once we get done with that part, we're going to take the end here, grab it with our tweezers. Again, having my straight reverse tweezers would work much better for this. We're going to just basically shape it around the tweezers. So it kind of clusters up those three right there. And then with each of the petals, we're going to basically form a center point of it. And this is going to be on the front side. So this is the front of the card. Front of the cardstock, and we're going to go down each of those little petals, and we're going to do that on all of these. Okay, here's the fun part. Now after we get these done, and when we're putting everything together on the card, we're going to slide the tips of it, this little white end here, into the cut part. So this piece has a cut down the middle that fits in there. This is going to go basically like that. I think I've got these curled up a little bit too much, so I'm going to flatten them out a little bit to give them a little bit more fullness. But I think you could do that with some of them, but you don't have to do it with all of them. And do the same kind of thing with these other ones, and you put them basically any direction you want to, because if you've seen a bird of paradise, you know they go every which way, right? So we're going to have that with all three of our little guys. Okay, and next we're going to move on to this little piece, and we're going to be doing two of those. And I'm going to be using some dark and light blue for this, and just kind of going around this little circular cutout piece right there, and then some more down here at the bottom. This is all in the dark blue, and then we're going to take our light blue and just blend it all out. So on these, what we're going to do is we're going to be placing them on top of each other. So we just put a little bit of glue on the tips. And then we're going to put those guys together, connected at the ends. And then we're going to use our tweezers to do something a little bit fun. So you need, and this would be, again, better if I had my good tweezers. I am complaining so much. I'm not happy about that. But anyway, you catch one side and you're going to curl it out. Okay, see what I mean? You don't catch both sides, you catch just one side and curl it out. Then you do the same thing on the other side. You're going to curl it out. So it looks kind of like that. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other bit, this other piece that is folded up, or that is raised above that little semicircle that is off there. We're going to curl it out as well on both sides. And you can always curl it out further than what I'm doing. This is my first attempt on it, so I would say I'm going to turn this around so I can actually get a hold of it better with my tweezers. But I would say do what looks good to you. And I think I do want to curl these out a little bit more. There we go. And then we're going to take our tweezers on the long end and kind of fold it around to try to get a nice sharp point at the end. Okay, I'm going to say that that is good enough. So next we're going to color up our leaves. And to do that, I'm going to start off with my darkest green, same that I've been using for all of the rest of this. I'm going to start off with my darkest green down here at the bottom. And then I'm going to come up with my lighter green and blend all of that out. Actually, I need more of this darker one. I probably need a medium, but this is kind of what I've got with this set. I do know that these are really dark, kind of waxy leaves on the actual plant. They are just so pretty. And then I'm going to color up the back of it as well. I'm going to do this with all of the leaves that I've got. I actually cut out 2 sets. I don't know if I actually need all of them, but I cut them out anyway, so we are going to use them. So next we're going to shape and do a little bit more coloring on the leaves. So first off, I've got my leaf right side down, and I'm going to follow the score line that is on our leaf. Now again, I'm not using the correct tool, but that I'm going to use what I've got, right? Now I'm kind of folding along that line, and I'm going to take my red that I used earlier and add some color around down that line, down that score line that we just did. You could probably do this with your marker as well, but I'm going to try it with my ink and see how that does.
'Cause baby, in your absence, life is boring, so I'll never leave. It's easier to love.
So now our leaf has a bit of red down the middle of that leaf. I'm going to do the same thing with my other leaves. Okay, and now I'm going to add some of that same red along the edges. Now I do have a lot. Do think I probably put a little bit more that I needed on in the center because I'm using a finger dauber, but I think this is still going to look pretty cool. Do the same thing on all of my leaves, just adding that little bit of red around the edges.
So I'll never leave. It's easier to love when it's you by my side, shining through the cracks like the first morning light, feeling like a child through the days and the nights, living in your arms as years go by.
Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing with my yellow along the edges. Basically the same colors that we used on the other pieces. And it's just going to bring in that little bit of reddish orange that is really indicative of this kind of flower. And as usual, I am amazed at what you're able to do. I mean, this is paper and it's starting to look like actual leaves and actual flowers. Okay, so that's going to be it for those leaves. So now that we've got all of our pieces, I'm going to start putting it together on a card panel. So now that we've got all of our pieces colored and shaped, I'm going to start putting it on the front of a card. I'm using a card panel that I've embossed with the 3D embossing folder of the month from Spellbinders. This is just so lovely. And I'm kind of torn. Do I want to use it the embossed side or the debossed side? I think they're both really, really pretty. And I think this time I'm going to do the debossed side because I've done the embossed side before. And we're going to start adhering these pieces down. And This part I am kind of going seat of my pants, because what the video that you'll see, if you look at the video that's down in the description from Susan Tierney, she added all of this to a card panel that already had one on there. So she created a second Bird of Paradise, and this time I'm going to be starting from scratch and just doing the one. Now I do want to make sure I get this other bit on here the way I need to. So let's do that part first. So it needs to go like this, right? So that means I need some adhesive right here at the tip. And I also want to make sure that there is room to go down in that slit for the other bits. So let's go ahead and add that part on right about like there. Come on. Okay, right about like that. And my art glitter glue is going to dry clear. And I've also got some adhesive already on the back of this stem piece. And I do not know the actual correct name for any of these, so I'm just going to call them stems and petals, right? Stems, petals, leaves. And just add that kind of down here at an angle. There we go. So there's the first part. And then we're going to take one of these with the petals and kind of just tuck it in and have it kind of going to the back. So I'll go ahead and add some adhesive down at the bottom. Once we know where we want everything positioned, I can go in and add some additional glue to have it all kind of stay in place, right? Okay, there we go. So there's our first one. And you can use as many or as few of these as you want, but sometimes these plants do get pretty full when they are in bloom. I'm going to add a second and then decide if I actually want to add the third. Okay, and then I can add this little guy. Oh, I think that's going to be pretty much perfect. Okay.
If the sky is falling down on me, you'll be the one that's by my side to lift away from me. And if I find myself in reckless seas, you'll be the one to pull me back into reality. Nothing like your smile in the morning. Following the line.
And I keep changing my mind about where I actually want this to go. Okay, I think I want it to go right about here, right in the center there. Okay, and now I'm going to add some of my leaves. Because that's the kind of the thing that happens with these flowers, with the birds of paradise, is they're always just kind of peeking out. Okay, and then for this part that is down at the bottom, I do want to make sure my leaves are actually adhering to that pretty cardstock. I'm going to let it sit for a minute and let those adhere. A lot of these leaves are kind of sticking up, and that's fine because that's kind of the way that the look is, but I also don't want them to fall off. So to finish it up, I'm going to place this down onto a green card base. Just adding some liquid adhesive to the back. I'm not adding any foam like I normally do because we've got enough going on the front, and I don't want this to be any harder to mail than it already is going to. Usually what I do with my dimensional flower cards is I hand deliver those. But I think this turned out really pretty, and it would be even better with multiples. So you could do as big of an arrangement of of your birds of paradise as you want. But I think that turned out really, really nice. I think I probably curled up some of these a little bit more than I should, trying to work with tweezers that don't really work that well for this, but this I think turned out lovely. You guys have a wonderful day. Be sure to check out this playlist to see more projects where I'm using Spellbinders products, including some other cards using designs from Susan Tierney, and y'all have a wonderful day. Remember, if I can make it, you can too, and I will talk to you soon. Bye guys.